Pete Alonso, former Rookie of the Year, a man who loves the spotlight and baseball's home run derby king. Coming off of a very solid year with the New York Mets where he hit 34 home runs, had 88 RBIs, and finished with an OPS plus of 123. Alonso was undoubtedly a major reason why the New York Mets went as far as they did in this year's postseason, but now his future is very much up in the air. Despite being one of the best free agents still on the market, Alonso is waiting and waiting to see where he's gonna land next. And so far, things aren't going the way that anybody would have expected. What's up, folks, and welcome back to the channel. In this one, we're gonna be talking about Pete Alonso and why no MLB team right now seemingly wants to sign him. Before we get into it, I encourage you guys to hit the like and smash the subscribe button if you enjoy baseball content and discussion so you don't miss any future videos. Alright folks, let's get into it. So, as I mentioned earlier, Pete Alonso is coming off of another strong season with the New York Mets where he played in every single game and earned himself an all-star selection. However, if you can believe it or not, 2024 was actually statistically the worst year of his career. His 788 OPS was a career low, marking the first time he's ever finished below 800 in a full season. Even his 34 home runs, while still impressive, are the fewest that he's ever hit in a non-COVID season. Now combine this slight regression with the fact that Alonso recently turned 30 years old and you're starting to have some doubt creep in for these MLB teams. Is Alonso still the same elite power hitter, or are we starting to see the beginning of a decline? Mark Feinsand writes, one American League executive called Alonso a complicated player, noting some of the drawbacks to his free agent resume. He's in his 30s and is a right-handed first baseman who is good, but probably had his best year already, the executive said. He's not a defender and not an athlete, but he has no issue with the spotlight. He hits homers and hits them in big spots. He's a tough one. Another executive said, Pete is in a tough spot. There doesn't seem to be a big market for him because of his defense, and with so many first basemen out there, nobody is in a rush to overpay any of them. Now, obviously, defense does matter, but we're still talking about a guy who even in his worst season hit 34 home runs. Like, is his fielding that bad that teams are willing to pass up on that elite power? Well, it is pretty bad. Pete Alonso last year was ranked in the bottom 3rd percentile in outs above average and the 2nd percentile in arm strength. Now, arm strength might not be that important when we're talking about a first baseman, but when you have -9 defensive runs to your name, it's tough for teams to overlook that. It also doesn't help that he is a serious liability on the base paths. Alonso is ranked in the bottom 3rd percentile in base running, which is never something that you want to see from somebody presumably hitting in the middle of your lineup. All of this has Pete Alonso in a really tough spot right now and probably has him regretting what he did last year. According to Mark Feinsand, Alonso reportedly turned down a 7-year, $158 million extension from the Mets in 2023. So after earning $20.5 million in 24, he would need to land a 6-year deal worth roughly $137.5 million in order to justify that decision. At the end of the day, $137 million for a guy who's basically a lock to hit 30 home runs year in and year out doesn't really seem too bad, but already some of Alonso's potential suitors are starting to dry up. The Mets, a strong contender to bring Alonso back, have already gone insane mode with their $765 million contract for Juan Soto and may be more inclined to invest their remaining dollars into some pitchers rather than hitters. Meanwhile, the Yankees, who initially seemed like a potential fit, have started addressing their needs in other areas and don't appear as interested anymore. And that's just to name a few. In fact, Mark Feinsand goes on to say, among the teams seeking help at first base are the Yankees, Mets, Mariners, Astros, and Diamondbacks, none of whom appears inclined to make Alonso the type of offer he's seeking, at least not right now. All of this to say that Pete Alonso's free agency is not going the way that he or his representation would have expected. And honestly, folks, with the way that things are falling into place, I wouldn't be shocked at all if come February, he's still looking for a team. But folks, let me know what you think about all this in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.